of Caitanya Caritamrta, and we've reached Adi-lila chapter 9, and we're discussing there's a mood of urgency in Prabhupada's purports now to spread this divine knowledge all over the planet, because it's the desire of Satchidananda Gaura Hari himself. So we'll begin today is Thursday, 14th of August, 2025. Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Dadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Adadinastanam Rintiya Idam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupam Bhajamboja Duli Shyam Janma Janmani Priya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajabi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhuveka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavala Sarupe Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurana Varatino Kalo Samarapaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasan Swabhakti Shriyam Haripurata Sundarata Tikatam Vasadipita Sada Kradare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha Yam Prabhajantamana Petyam Apete Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Matayo Tarabo Benedustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptasya Karmadi Taranga Mahadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prabhana Brinde Namaste Charanaravindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Bharadram Tato Mamanastikatina Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaibina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Naivam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat Pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Adi-lila Prabhupada Om, Asto Tarazara Shishimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Adi-lila Prabhupada Om, Asto Tarazara Shishimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And to our dearmost Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, and all our divine Rupanuga Guru Varig, and all the Vaishnav and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat Pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So on Tuesday, Srila Krishna's Kaviraj is voicing the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's manifested, and he's manifesting this tree of devotional service that has never been given before in this day and night of Lord Brahma. 8,640,000,000 years is a long time. This cherished gift of Gopi Prem was never even heard of. Prior to Mahaprabhu, as we've said so many times, people worshipped the Lord exclusively. They would worship with his Shakti, like Sita Ram, but not spotlighting or highlighting Sita Devi. It was just focusing on Lord Ram or Lord Nrsingadev, etc. But now, our whole focus has shifted. Who has that most highest devotion in existence? Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he says that the exhibition of the highest devotion in existence is that of the gopis of Vrindavan. So this is what Mahaprabhu has come to distribute. This is the desire tree of devotional service, the Kalpa Vriksha tree, manifesting originally from Madhavendra Puri, Madhavendra Puri had this inspiration within his heart. It's described. There doesn't seem to be any other personality who is gifting Madhavendra Puri with this seed of devotion to the gopis, or Bhav Bhakti, but it's manifesting in the heart of Madhavendra Puri, and then through to Ishwara Puri, and now the full blossoming tree of that devotion is being manifested by Sachinandan Gaura Hari. And it's saying that since Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the original trunk, the taste of the fruits that grew on the branches and sub-branches surpassed the taste of nectar. So this is what he's bestowing and gifting. And there's an urgency in the mood of Srila Krishna's Kaviraj. He's saying in the previous verses that one who has taken birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharatvash, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of other people. This working for the benefit of other people is also described by Javier in the 11th canto. One of the Yogendras was describing. He says, when a devotee gives up the selfish conception by which one thinks, this is my property and that's his, it's a little different, but it's the same mood of sharing this gift of Mahaprabhu himself, that Namo Mahavadanaya, Krishna Prema Pradayate. He's the most magnanimous incarnation, because what he's come to give is so extraordinary. But this verse I'm just speaking now is from the 11th canto, when the Nava Yogendras were speaking to Nimi Maharaj about what is an Uttam Bhagavat. It says, when a devotee gives up the selfish conception by which one thinks, this is my property and that is his, and when he is no longer concerned with the pleasures of his own material body, or indifferent to the discomfort of others. So this is within the Abhideya section of the Bhagavatam in the 11th canto, describing how to practically manifest these moods. So this mood must be manifest by the thoughtful devotee. He becomes fully peaceful and satisfied if he's in a mood of seeing that the pleasure, he's not concerned with his own pleasures and neither is indifferent to others. He considers himself simply one among all the living beings who are equally part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in other words, completely purifying any type of sectarian mentality. Because if this sectarian mentality holds, this mission of Mahaprabhu cannot spread. It cannot go out into the world if everyone is concerned for their own apparent mat or conceptions, or etc., and not understanding the highest conception is available for everyone, this Gopi Bhav. And then Javier, the Nava Yogendra, he's saying, he considers himself simply one among all living beings who are equally part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a satisfied Vaishnava is considered to be at the highest standard of devotional service. So this selfless mood is required if one is going to vigorously support Mahaprabhu's mission in this world, and thereby incur the mercy very quickly of our entire Guru Varga. This is most certainly the desire of Rupa Goswami, of Raghunath Das Goswami, of Raghunath Bhatta, Gopal Bhatta, Sanatan Goswami, Srila Krishna's Kaviraj himself, Jiva Goswami in particular. All of these personalities are going to bestow their mercy if we can vigorously try to support the precepts and teachings of Mahaprabhu, of this desire tree of devotional service. So we've come to text 42. Etavaj janma safalyam dehinam iha dehishu anir arte diya varcha shreya acharanam sada. It is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words. We know that people become so disturbed in Kali Yuga. Various stresses and mental diseases are prevalent in excess on the planet. But as soon as one turns it around and looks at the suffering around him and tries to alleviate the suffering, like I know in our Sangha, for example, sometimes I can remember being quite mental around my Gurudev, hearing so many high philosophical truths and trying to reconcile them with my false ego. But as soon as I picked up a bucket and started to serve the prasadam, all these doubts or misgivings would immediately evaporate. As soon as we actually practically can do something for others, then purify this selfish tendency that Srila Bhakti Rakshak Srila Maharaj said is so close that we can't even see it. So one who hesitates in his sharing of Mahaprabhu's teachings is of that nature. So this is what we're going to be describing around today before we start describing the different great devotees who are representing this tree. So purport. There are two kinds of general activities: shreyas, or activities which are ultimately beneficial and auspicious, and prayas, or those which are immediately beneficial and auspicious. For example, children are fond of playing. They do not want to go to school to receive an education, and they think that to play all day and night and enjoy with their friends is the aim of life, isn't it? Even in the transcendental life of Lord Krishna, we found that when he was a child, he was very fond of playing with his friends of the same age, the cowherd boys. He would not even go home to take his dinner. Mother Yashoda would have to come out and induce him to come home. Thus, it is a child's nature to engage all day and night in playing, not caring even for his health or other important concerns. This is an example of prayas, or immediately beneficial activities. Immediately beneficial activities. But there are also shreyas, or activities that are ultimately auspicious. According to Vedic civilization, a human being must be God conscious. He should understand what God is, what this material world is, who he is, himself. That's the jiva. And what their interrelationship is. This is called Sambandha Gyan. In Jaiva Dharma, this is the first teaching of what are the three vastus, the three prominent aspects that can't be broken down like an element. So we have three vastus, that is Krishna, Jiva, and Maya. And what is their distinct relationship between each other? This is Sambandha Gyan. So this is called Shreyas, or ultimately auspicious activity. In this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that one should be interested in Shreyas. To achieve the ultimate goal of Shreyas, or good fortune, one should engage everything, including his life, wealth, and words, not only for himself, but for others also. However, unless one is interested in Shreyas for his own life, he cannot preach of Shreyas for the benefit of others. We have the expression, physician, heal thyself. We can't run around speaking to people unless we've taken time to reflect upon these monumental truths that I am spirit and not matter, and to connect with that more and more and more until I'm utterly realized in the identity of my swabhav, my eternal nature. So this takes time, takes effort, takes practice. And if we spend our lives focusing on this internal development, that will automatically flow out. You won't be able to stop it. When you're walking in the street, you speak to any vendor, any vegetable man or anything of that nature, or anybody. It'll automatically exude from you. This is its potency. However, unless one is interested in Shreyas in his own life, he cannot preach of Shreyas for the benefit of others. This verse cited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu applies to human beings, not to animals, as indicated in the previous verse by the words Manusya Janma. These injunctions are for human beings. Unfortunately, human beings, although they have the bodies of men, are becoming less than animals in their behavior. The animals don't kill their children. Human beings are regularly killing the children and killing our mother, the cow. This is the fault of modern education. This is the fault of modern education. Modern educators do not know the aim of human life. They are simply concerned with how to develop the economic condition of their countries or human society. We go to school, we go to college, we go to our various degrees of education, principally motivated by the desire to earn wealth. That's the principal motivation. Occasionally we'll have a scientist who's concerned with extending his understanding of that science and genuinely wants to study. But most of the education, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has described it ultimately as slaughterhouse education. Just sending the child to school, all those years, 12, 15 years of the child's life is separated from the opportunity to engage in spiritual activities and spiritual learnings and knowledge. He's just completely being programmed to focus on the body and this world. This is also necessary. The Vedic civilization considers all aspects of human life, including dharma, religion, artha, economic development, karma, sense gratification, and moksha. But humanity's first concern should be religion. To be religious, one must abide by the orders of God. If we're actually religious, we will appreciate, even if we don't know who is Krishna, we'll appreciate that there is a controlling power. And he has manifested all these worlds. And it is our duty to serve that controlling personality. Of course, as we progress and we understand more about that personality, then the more enthusiastic we are to render service directly to him. But humanity's first concern should be religion. What does religion mean in Latin? That word, religio, actually means relationship. It means relationship. What is my relationship with God? This is what the word religion means. If I'm not concerned with my relationship with God, then I'm quite a narrow type of a person. To be religious, one must abide by the orders of God, but unfortunately people in this age have rejected religion, and they are busy in economic development because the governments and the controlling demons are coercing the people and pushing them in this direction for so many generations. Previously in the Vedic time, historically, 2,000-3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, there would be gurukuls, and there would be systematic education through the scriptures. But gradually this is just deteriorating with the nature of this age where all good qualities degenerate. Therefore, they will adopt any means to get money. For economic development, one does not need to get money by hook or by crook. One needs only sufficient money to maintain his body and soul. However, because modern development is going on with no religious background, People have become lusty, greedy, and mad after money. They are simply developing the qualities of rajas, passion, and tamas, ignorance, neglecting the other quality of nature, sattva, goodness, and the Brahminical qualifications. Therefore, the entire society is in chaos. The Bhagavatam says that it is the duty of an advanced human being to act in such a way as to facilitate human society's attainment of the ultimate goal of life. There is a similar verse in the Vishnu Purana, Part 3, Chapter 12, verse 45, which is next quoted in this Caitanya Caritamrta, text 43. Praninam upakaraya yad eva paratracha karmana manasa vacha tad eva mati man bhajet. By his work, thoughts and words, an intelligent man must perform actions which will be beneficial for all living entities in this life and the next. This is just mapping out the basic premise for supporting Mahaprabhu's mission. Purport: unfortunately, people in general do not know what is to take place in the next life. To prepare oneself for his next life is common sense, and it is the principle of the Vedic civilization. But presently, people throughout the world do not believe in the next life. Even influential professors and other educators say that as soon as the body is finished, everything is finished. There was a film made in 1981, I think it was, by someone called Ramdas, and he transgressed these, I think it was 3 or 4 women in Australia, and he put them under hypnosis and they went into their past births very vividly, and they described where they were living in their previous births. So he arranged for all these ladies to be to fly to where they were previously from Australia. One lady, for example, she had never been out of Australia, and she was describing under hypnosis a previous birth in England, and she was flown to that exact spot, and she had already described the houses and the different details, and all these details were thoroughly confirmed when she wandered around in that area, and the same with the other ladies also. It was such an amazing video that after it was aired on television in Australia, and after about 6 months, the Christians took it off the market directly, because it was such a statement about reincarnation. And reincarnation originally was in the Bible, but it was extracted again by the demons. So this is the way of the world that we live. Even influential professors, if we want, I can post this video, and I think it's on my website, if anyone's interested to have a look. But to share it with people who don't believe in reincarnation, because it's so completely convincing, absolutely, thoroughly convincing. Even influential professors and other educators say that as soon as the body is finished, everything is finished. This atheistic philosophy is killing human society, human civilization. People are irresponsibly performing all sorts of sinful activities, and thus the privilege of the human life is being taken away by the educational propaganda of the so-called leaders. And we are stupid to go along with it. If we're hearing this and still putting our children through these educational machines, then what can we say? Actually, it is a fact that this life is meant for preparation for the next life. By evolution, one has to come through many species or forms, and this human form of life is an opportunity to promote oneself to a better life. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Yanti Devi Vrata Devan Pitrin Yanti Priti Vrata Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja Yanti Mat Yagyano Pimam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors, and those who worship me will live with me. Therefore one may promote himself to the higher planetary systems, which are the residence of the demigods. One can promote himself to Pitriloka. One can remain on earth, or one can also go back home, back to Godhead. This is further confirmed elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita. These are the topics that people should be educated in from birth, not pushed into these slaughterhouse schools. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mamriti songa Arjuna. After giving up the body, one who knows Krishna in truth does not come back again to this world to accept a material body, but goes back home, back to Godhead. The point is that people like this world. They like the illusion. They like the passion and ignorance that they've been immersed in since birth. And they become addicted to it. They become attached to it. They become attached to all the objects, considering them all real. They are real in the sense, because they're not false, but they're temporary. They're not eternal. And we have an option to actually focus on what is eternal and sweet and full of love and full of joy and nectar, full of the sweetness of devotion. When devotion is engendered in the heart will overflow with intoxicating moods of sweet purity. But choosing to go in the other direction, because it's always the individual soul has a choice at every single step. We have to consider. It wasn't just an original choice we made to come into this world. That choice, because we're marginal, is happening at every moment of our lives. 100 times a day we make a choice, whether to go to Krishna or whether to look after my own material self-interests first. Even if one is not able to go back to Godhead in one life, the Vedic civilization at least gives one the opportunity to be promoted to the higher planetary systems where the demigods live, and not glide down again to animal life. At present, people do not understand this knowledge, although it constitutes a great science, for they are uneducated and trained not to accept it. Actually, all of this recent in the last few years about AI and all its versatility and all the great things that it can unwrap can be all based, it has its foundation in the Devanagari script of Sanskrit. It's there, that is the foundation of the Sanskrit language. The Sanskrit language I described the other day has 55,000 sounds. And every nuance, every feeling, every mood in life is depicted there through the Sanskrit language. And scientists today, another video can come, that they have shown that actually in the Vedic culture that this same idea of AI, so to speak, was already there. The mathematics of it was already there in Vedic culture. It's just been revamped for modern usage, but it was already there. So see, we're not progressing, we're actually regressing. At present, people do not understand this knowledge, although it constitutes a great science, for they are uneducated and trained not to accept it. That's it. We've been actually told, for example, that the world is around like a ball, but actually it's not. It's actually flat. It's like a sphere. This is how the Vedic description of planet Earth is described. It's not round, but the leaders changed it. You can ask any continental airline pilot, does he have to make an adjustment to, in his travel, in his navigation, for the curvature of the Earth? None of them do. And hundreds of them have been interviewed. At present, people do not understand this knowledge, although it constitutes a great science. They are uneducated and trained not to accept it. This is the horrible condition of modern human society. If we start to realize how fallen we really are, then we can actually come up a little bit. But as long as we're walking around with our heads high, thinking this is a wonderful world, look, we have cell phones, internet, this, that, and the other, then we can never actually progress to the deeper truths of life. This is the horrible condition of modern human society. As such, the Krishna consciousness movement is the only hope to direct the attention of intelligent men to a greater benefit in life. That greater benefit to practice God consciousness, and at the time of death to return to that kingdom of the spiritual world and to leave this world forever, or at least make progress in that direction. Text 44. Mali manusya amra Mali manusya amra nahi rajyadan Phala phala diyakari punya uprajan. I am merely a gardener. I have neither a kingdom nor very great riches. I simply have some fruits and flowers that I wish to utilize to achieve piety in my life. Mahaprabhu is saying like this. Purport. In performing welfare activities for human society, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu presents himself as being not very rich, thus indicating that a man need not be rich or opulent to act for the welfare of humanity. Sometimes rich men are very proud that they can perform beneficial activities for human society, whereas others cannot. A practical example is that when there is a scarcity of food in India on account of meager rainfall, some members of the richer class very proudly distribute foodstuffs, making huge arrangements with the help of the government, as if merely by such activities people will be benefited. It's called karma yoga. Karmis. Production of grain is completely in the hands of God. If there were no rain, there would be no grain, and these so-called rich men would be unable to distribute grain to the people. So everything is dependent on the Lord. The real purpose of life, therefore, is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Rupa Goswami describes in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that devotional service is so exalted that it is beneficial and auspicious for every man. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also declared that to propagate the bhakti cult of devotional service in humanity, one does not need to be very rich. Anyone who knows the art can do it, and thus render the highest benefit to humanity. It depends on nothing material. It just depends on our steadfast belief and understanding. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes the part of a gardener, because although a gardener is naturally not a very rich man, he has some fruits and flowers. Any man can collect some fruits and flowers and satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotional service, as the Lord recommends in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Fusham Phulam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati Tad Aham Bhaktya Uparitam Ashnami Prayatmanaha. One cannot satisfy the Supreme Lord by his riches, wealth, or opulent position, but anyone can collect a little fruit or a flower and offer it to the Lord. The Lord says that if one brings such an offering in devotion, he will accept it and eat it. When Krishna eats, the entire world becomes satisfied. There is a story in the Mahabharata illustrating how by Krishna's eating, the 60,000 disciples of Durvasa Muni were all satisfied, because they wanted to actually hurt the Pandavas. So Duryodhana had asked Durvasa as a reciprocal exchange, because Duryodhana had fed them very well, that Durvasa should go just when the Pandavas had completed all their meal, because they had a particular pot given by Suryadev that would be unlimited supply of bhoga. But as soon as Draupadi had eaten, then it would stop distributing for the day. So Duryodhana knew this, so he wanted Durvasa to go and compromise the Pandavas and incur Durvasa's wrath. So the Pandavas, they find the Durvasa, they find the Pandavas in the forest, and they are naturally invited to take a meal, but then they go and they say their annex, etc., their Brahma Gayatris, and by the time they are ready to come back and take the meal, then Krishna has actually manifested, because Draupadi was thinking, how can I possibly feed these 60,000 people? The pot is already empty and I've already taken something. But then suddenly she calls Govinda, and Krishna comes and finds one little shred of a piece of shak on the edge of the pot, and he takes that and he says, Tatvam asmi, I am fully satisfied, fully satisfied. And when he is satisfied, the whole world is satisfied. So this is the pastime that Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is referring to. Krishna's eating, the 60,000 disciples of the Rasa Muni were all satisfied. Therefore, it is a fact that if our life, pranaya, by our wealth, artaya, and our intelligence, diya, or by our words, vacha, we can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, naturally the entire world will become happy. Therefore, our main duty is to satisfy the Supreme Godhead by our actions, our money, and our words. This is very simple. Even if one does not have money, he can preach the Hare Krishna mantra to everyone. He can go everywhere to every home and request everyone to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Thus, the entire world situation will become very happy and peaceful. So our devotees in the world, many thousands and thousands of devotees across the planet, are going from house to house. They're distributing books on the streets. They're distributing prasadam. They're doing like this more. As we said the other day, this was written 50 years ago, but now we're seeing this Hare Krishna movement is definitely manifesting strongly, vigorously on the planet. As Kali deepens and it becomes more difficult, then the devotees, they will become more prolific and they will intensify their efforts in reciprocation to the demons. Text 45. Malihana vriksha hoililan eta ichate sarva panir upakara hoya vriksha hoite. Although I am acting as a gardener, I also want to be the tree, for thus I can bestow benefit upon all. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most benevolent personality in human society, because his only desire is to make people happy. His Sankirtan movement is especially meant for the purpose of making people happy. He wanted to become the tree himself, because a tree is said to be the most benevolent living entity. In the following verse, which is from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:22-33, Krishna himself praises the existence of a tree. This 22 is the Brahmin, the Yagya Brahmins' wives come to Krishna. Text 46. Aho esham varam janma sarva pranya upajvinam sujanasyeva yesham vai vimukha yanti narina. Just see how these trees are maintaining every living entity. Their birth is successful. Their behavior is just like that of great personalities. For anyone who asks anything from a tree never goes away disappointed. So this beautiful analogy of the desire tree of devotional service is being supported through these quotes from Bhagavatam. Purport. According to the Vedic civilization, Kshatriyas are considered to be great personalities, because if anyone goes to a Kshatriya king to ask for charity, the king will never refuse. The trees are compared to those noble Kshatriyas because everyone derives all kinds of benefits from them. Some people take fruit, others take flowers, others take leaves, others take twigs, and others even cut the tree, and yet the tree gives to everyone without hesitation. Unnecessary cutting trees without consideration is another example of human debauchery. The paper industry cuts many hundreds and thousands of trees for its mills, and with the paper, so much rubbish literature is published for the whimsical satisfaction of human society. We see this across the planet. They talk about climate change. They should look at how much we are chopping the trees down and deforesting the world, especially in South America and different places. And by lack of trees, then the natural the rainfall will decrease, because the chemistry of the trees and their oxygen that they're putting into the atmosphere is creating the various weather patterns. If in a very forested area, it's always very cool in summertime, for example. But when the trees have all been cut down, then the ground just turns to practically barren, crusted desert areas, which we're seeing all over the world. Man doesn't think, he just chops the trees down. Unfortunately, although these industrialists are now happy in this life by dint of their industrial development, as they may be rubbing their hands together thinking they're making some money, they do not know that they will incur the responsibility for killing these living entities who are in the form of trees. We should always be conscientious about how much paper we use and abuse. We should try to utilize all paper and realize that boxes and so many things like this, they're all produced from the energetic chopping and deforestation of the planet, which is horrendous. This verse, quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam, was spoken by Lord Krishna to his friends when he was taking rest underneath the tree after his pastime of stealing the clothes of the gopis, Vastra Harana Lila. By quoting this verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches us that we should be tolerant like trees and also beneficial like trees, which give everything to the needy persons who come underneath them. A needy person may derive many advantages from trees and also from many animals, but in modern civilization, people have become so ungrateful that they exploit the trees and animals and kill them. These are some of the sinful activities in modern civilization. When we say modern, generally we think of America, because America has had its empire for the last, 200, 150 years. America has been the prominent influence in the world. And we see how the American nation began by killing the local indigenous people. It was started on violence. So it's just continued like that. Text 47. E agna kele yadi chaitanya malakara parama ananda paila vriksha parivara. Translation: the descendants of the tree, the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, were very glad to receive this order directly from the Lord. Purport: it is the desire of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that the benevolent activities of the Sankirtan movement, which was inaugurated 500 years ago in Navadvip, be spread all over the world for the benefit of all human beings. Unfortunately, there are many so-called followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who are satisfied simply to construct a temple, make a show of the deities, collect some funds, and utilize them for eating and sleeping. There is no question of their preaching the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world. But even though they are unable to do so, if anyone else does it, they become envious. This was what Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was feeling from his own godbrothers. The age of Kali is so strong that it affects even the so-called followers of Lord Chaitanya. At least the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must come out of India to preach his cult all over the world, for this is the mission of Lord Chaitanya. The followers of Lord Chaitanya must execute his will with heart and soul, being more tolerant than trees and humbler than the straw in the street. Text 48. Ye ahanta handane kore prema fal, valaspada mata kloke hoile sakala. The fruit of love of God is so delicious that wherever a devotee distributes it, those who relish the fruit anywhere in the world immediately become intoxicated. It would appear intoxicated. Who else in the world can go down the street singing and dancing and not get locked up? Only the Hare Krishna movement can. If a drunk starts doing that, he'll get locked up. But the devotees are intoxicated with Harinam, and they have the sanction of the Lord. So in their intoxicated state of tasting the sweetness of the holy names, they can spread out on the streets, and they do regularly in all the big cities of the world. These Harinam parties are going on. Purport. Here the wonderful fruit of love of Godhead distributed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is described. We have practical experience that anyone who accepts this fruit and sincerely tastes it immediately becomes mad after it and gives up all his bad habits, being intoxicated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's gift, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The statements of Sri Caitanya Caritamrta are so practical that anyone can test them. As far as we are concerned, we are most confident of the successes of the distribution of the great fruit of love of Godhead through the medium of chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We can see Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada fully in his efforts is supported by this, these teachings of Mahaprabhu. Text 49. Mahamadaka prema phala peta barikaya matila sakala loka hasa nache gaya. Translation. The fruit of love of Godhead, distribution by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is such a great intoxicant that anyone who eats it, filling his belly, immediately becomes maddened by it, and automatically he chants, dances, laughs, and enjoys. Text 50. Kahe gad gada gadi yai kehata hunkara deki anita hana hasa malakara. Translation. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the great gardener, sees that people are chanting, dancing, and laughing, and that some of them are rolling on the earth, on the floor, and some are making loud humming sounds, he smiles with great pleasure. Purport. This attitude of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very important for persons engaged in the Hare Krishna movement of Krishna consciousness. In every center of our institution, ISKCON, we have arranged for a love feast every Sunday, and when we actually see people come to our center, chant, dance, take prasadam, become jubilant, and purchase books, we know that certainly Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always present in such transcendental activities, and he is very pleased and satisfied. Therefore, the members of ISKCON must increase this movement more and more, according to the principles that we are presently trying to execute. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, thus being pleased, will smilingly glance upon them, bestowing his favor, and the movement will be successful. So without any sectarian bias, all people hearing these divine truths should endeavor to distribute this Hare Krishna mantra along with prasadam also. Prasadam is the secret weapon of this movement. Text 51. E malakara koi e prama phala nirvadi mata rahe vishvasa vivala. The great gardener, Lord Chaitanya, personally eats this fruit, and as a result, he constantly remains mad, as if helpless and bewildered. We just described in this chapter 7 of the Mayavadis, the Varanasi sannyasis, were criticizing Mahaprabhu as being mad, intoxicated. Why are you always chanting Hare Krishna? Why are you exhibiting such ecstatic symptoms? So this was the nature of the result of this Mahamantra. It is the mission of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu to act himself and teach the people. He says, Apani achari bhakti karilat prachar. One must first act himself and then teach. This is the function of a real teacher. Unless one is able to understand the philosophy that he speaks, it will not be effective. Therefore, one should not only understand the philosophy of Chaitanya, of the Chaitanya cult, but also implement it practically in one's own life. While chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sometimes fainted and remained unconscious for many hours. He prays in his Shikshastika 7, Yugayitam namishena chakshusam pravisayitam, sunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda vira hirame. O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. This is the perfectional stage of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and eating the fruit of love of Godhead as exhibited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One should not artificially imitate this stage, but if one is serious and sincerely follows the regulative principles and chants the Hare Krishna mantra, the time will come when these symptoms will appear. Tears will fill his eyes. He will be unable to chant the Mahamantra distinctly, and his heart will throb in ecstasy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that one should not imitate this, but the devotee should long for the day to come when such symptoms of trance will automatically appear in his body. So we just read in the previous chapter how Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj, he's glorifying the holy name of the Lord, but he's saying that this holy name will not manifest unless one is chanting it without offenses. Then the offenses were very clearly enunciated. If these offenses are still being happening for the devotee, then these symptoms will not manifest. They cannot manifest. Text 52. Sarva loke mata koile apanas samana prema mata loka vina nahi deki ana. Translation. With his Sankirtan movement, the Lord made everyone mad like himself. We do not find anyone who was not intoxicated by his Sankirtan movement. Text 53. Ye purve ninda koile bali matyo yala seho fala koi nache bala. Translation. Persons who had formerly criticized Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, calling him a drunkard, also ate the fruit and began to dance, saying, very good, very good. Purport. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started the Sankirtan movement, even he was unnecessarily criticized by Mayavadis, atheists and fools. Naturally, we are also criticized by such men. They will always remain and will always criticize anything that is actually good for human society. But the preachers of the Sankirtan movement should not be deterred by such criticism. Our method should be to convert such fools gradually by asking them to come and take prasadam and chant and dance with us. This should be our policy. Anyone who comes to join us, of course, must be sincere and serious regarding spiritual advancement in life. Then such a person, simply by joining us, chanting with us, dancing with us, and taking prasadam with us, will gradually also come to say that this movement is very good. But one who joins with an ulterior purpose to get material benefit or personal gratification will never be able to grasp the philosophy of this movement. That means like the Mayavadis, etc. Those personalities. Eta kahulan prema phala vitarana eba suna phala data iye sukha gana. Translation. After describing the Lord's distribution of the fruit of love of Godhead, I now wish to describe the different branches of the tree of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 55. Shri Rupa Raghunath Pade Yare Asha Caitanya Caritamrta Adi-lila Krishna Das, praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Raghunath, always desiring their mercy. I, Krishnadas, narrate this Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, following in their footsteps. So the next chapter is chapter 10. We'll begin that tomorrow, and this will be a description of all the different personalities. So now in this chapter 9, the idea or the analogy of the tree, the divine tree, the desire tree of devotional service, it's what's being expressed. And both Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, we can almost feel their energetic enthusiasm to share this movement with the world, because this was the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu desired that all living entities have an opportunity to hear the potency of this Mahamantra, to hear these truths, simply to begin to listen to the Mahamantra. It's so effective, it's so powerful, because Mahaprabhu himself has empowered it. So we see all the different personalities, the Goswamis, etc. They are giving the clear teachings of how to proceed on this spiritual path. And the backbone of the practice is chanting Hare Krishna. So Mahaprabhu is distributing this Mahamantra to the world for free, trying to slow down the wheels of this destructive age of Kali, where through the coming from childhood in the kindergarten schools, all the educational systems are all just being reprogrammed by the demonic people, deliberately trying to push everyone into a path of just wanting economic success in life, thinking that that is going to constitute the highest happiness for myself, because we're not even knowing who our real selves are. We're considering ourselves as this body. So all these material desires are just bubbling, and we see what is the state of the world when it's going like that. There are wars practically in every continent. There are wars being fought. There is so much degradation of lifestyle, etc. Slaughter of animals, trees, etc. is going on. But still this Hare Krishna movement is very enthusiastically distributing this desire tree's fruits to the general populace, and will never be deterred and will never stop. Just like Haridas Thakur, even though he was beaten in 22 marketplaces, still he never stopped his chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So, very beautiful chapter 9. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Ananta Gauda Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Gau Premanande, Hari Bol. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.